Hello, this is Wmpyr. Here to talk about Wmpyr martial arts and how it was kind of developed. When I was living in Dallas, I was training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at the time, and it was kind of like my end of that. My end of pursuing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It just got me to the point where I was satisfied, over the years of training, that I was satisfied with the amount that I had learned with BJJ. And at the time, I was living in a really bad neighborhood. The apartment was terrible. And I was also working a security job, which put me in some interesting altercations and positions that was, self-defense type situations that really was an eye opener for me. And then, of course, training in BJJ, and I even competed a little bit at the time. So that was also an eye opening experience. And what happened was my downstairs neighbor, I was living in a really bad apartment, and she was robbed. Fortunately, she wasn't there, but it got me thinking, what if she was there? How would I protect her? And if it was a one-on-one, because I was comfortable with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Muay Thai kickboxing at the time, if it was one-on-one in the cage, I was very confident that I knew what to do, that I would be fine, um, in those regards. Once again, put me in the cage, put me in the ring. I was confident with that. But in this situation, this was the street. She was being, her place was being broken into. I didn't know how many. You'd expect they'd have weapons. Um, yeah, I was expecting maybe at least three people there. Uh, the weapons change things. There are obviously no rules, so are they going to be going for my eyes? Are they, trying to bite me? Of course, going for my groin. Um, and when do you know is enough in that situation? It's not like a sport match where you tap the guy out and then it's done. In this case, when do I know this is good? Really, we don't know. And uh, same, there's also legal consequences. So there's a lot of things that I had to think about and realize there. So then my conclusion was like, okay, I need a weapon. So the being comfortable in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Muay Thai kickboxing just simply wasn't enough. So I was like, I need an equalizer. I need a weapon for this type of situation. And then I basically thought of three different types of weapon. One is a baseball bat, the other's a knife, and then number three was a firearm. So those were the three I thought about. And so firearm was a handgun, some type of handgun, and then I was also thinking shotgun, right? Those pretty much were the two. I personally really like rifles, but yeah, I was kind of narrowing it down to that for self-defense. And then, yeah, knife was something that I've always had an interest in. And then, the baseball bat, kind of like coming from my Eskrima background from Filipino martial arts. So I was like, it's kind of a no-brainer. But then when you think about with a baseball bat, you have to like leave it in the trunk of the car. So then I thought, oh, what about tactical baton, where it folds up? So I was thinking tactical baton, knife, or some kind of firearm. And out of the three, the one that I chose to specialize in, and I'm not saying that I don't do the other stuff, because I do. I'll do anything. I'll do whatever it takes to defend myself. Grenade, tank, helicopter, whatever. So I wouldn't say, no, I don't do that. I only do this. I would never limit myself that way. So if I have a firearm available, I will use it, if the situation is right for that. I got no problem. I'm not going to say, I'm a knife guy, I only use a knife. No way, no way. But anyway, out of the three, I chose to specialize in the knife because convenience of carry is in my opinion, the most convenient to carry. And then the second reason was legal issues. I felt that out of the three, it is the easiest to deal with legally out of the three. So that's why I decided to specialize in the knife, right? Not pick the knife to replace everything else. No, specialize. Okay. So then I was like, okay, I'm ready to go learn the knife, and I researched. I looked at magazines, I looked at online, and I did my research, and I looked up like some of the most famous and best knife, defense, knife combat, knife schools out there in the market at that time. And what I saw was not very satisfying to me. I wasn't happy with what I saw. So, um, one was a world famous, probably the number one at the time, and this person, what they were teaching, looked like uh, very, very poor MMA plus the knife. That's what it looked like to me. So at that time, like I said, I had some BJJ skills, I had some Muay Thai skills, and I was like, I'm gonna go learn from this dude who probably knows less about that stuff than I do. And it looked like he was getting it all wrong too. And I was like, I can't learn from this guy, because, you know, I don't want to say a fraud, but it just felt like at his skill level, it was too low for him to be doing what he was doing. So um, the other stuff that I saw was a lot of like reality based martial arts, or what I like to call modern tactical, which is like military styles, styles used by police, or also designed for modern urban environments, self-defense stuff. So, they don't wear the gi. They pretty much removed all the traditional stuff out of it. And they had some really, really, really good points. But on the other hand, a lot of them, a good majority of those were very negative attitude towards traditional martial arts and towards combat sports. And to me, that was just like showed an insecurity. It showed that they didn't understand combat sports and they didn't understand traditional. So, it was hard for me to also learn from something like that, or go learn completely, completely immerse myself in that. Just because of the viewpoint right there, I was like, you really don't know what you're talking about. So I'm supposed to expect that you know what you're talking about when it comes to knife in real life self-defense. I was like, you don't even know what you're talking about with martial arts and stuff. So, once again, I was really unhappy. So my point of view is, I view, when you look at martial arts, broad category, I divide them into three categories. Number one is the traditional stuff, right? Number two is the modern tactical. And number three is combat sports. And I say to this day, I recommend to you guys, train in at least one of the three. That way you have a more balanced viewpoint. I'm not saying train in three styles and then you're good. That's not what I'm saying. Because like if you train in Wing Chun Kung Fu, Praying Mantis Kung Fu, and Tai Chi, all three of those are traditional styles. To me, you're still stuck in a traditional mindset. So what I'm saying is, one traditional style, at least one modern tactical style, and one combat sports style. Then you have the viewpoint of all three, and that's what I think is very important to do. So the style, the Wmpyr style, one of the main things was to blend all three perspectives into one. So I benefit from traditional, I benefit from modern tactical, and I benefit from combat sports. I benefit from all three, so that to me was important. And not just saying that at a low level, I don't want to act like I'm awesome at all three, because I'm not. But the people that were saying like, okay, I picked from this style, I picked from that style, I picked from this style. A lot of times I felt like they didn't have a solid understanding of traditional. They just took a technique and like that's it, or I felt like they didn't really study traditional martial arts as thoroughly as I did. Same with the modern tactical stuff. They didn't study it as thoroughly as I did, or the combat sports. And once again, I'm not saying I'm awesome or anything like that. Just there's like a minimal amount. I would say at least 6 months in each is the minimal, and I don't feel like they really did that. Or at least not with an open mind and absorbed it very well. So um, anyway, so the Wmpyr martial art style is to benefit from all three of those broad categories. The next step that was extremely important for me was at the one of the things that the reality-based martial arts people were talking about is that in a real-life situation, is your stuff going to come out? I recently talked about a video. I made a video talking about that, talking about, are you going to freeze up, or are you going to be able to perform, right? And that is a little bit different from combat sports. Okay, so in combat sports, it's like there's a dude in front of you, and you both know you're gonna be in a fight, and the referee tells you when to go, and once it the bell rings or whatever, once the match starts, he's coming, whether you like it or not. The match is on. So it's gonna go, and then until the ref says, okay, that's it, right? So it's very clear when and how it's going to be done and all that. But in a street situation, in a self-defense situation, it's not. A lot of times you may not even know that this guy has the intention to mug you, to hurt you or whatever, and he comes up to you like all friendly but real, probably sleazy, or something's weird, something's not right. At that point, what do you do? And if he suddenly attacks you at that point, are you going to be able to be ready in time? Are you going to be able to shift gears in time? Can you defend? Can you go into your whatever style it is that you do? Or are you going to be like completely caught off guard? And we know in combat, if you're caught off guard, that is critical. So it doesn't matter if you're really awesome in the ring or in the cage. If you're caught off guard, this is all it takes, right? So that was very, very important to me. I decided to focus on that. And one case point, an example, when I was living in Austin, and in Texas, the areas that I'm in, snow and ice is very rare. But I was in Austin, and it snowed, and then the ground became ice. And I had a puppy at the time, and the puppy, of course, has to go to the bathroom and stuff, have to take him out for a walk. So we went out, and I'm walking the puppy, and I knew that I could slip and fall because it's ice. I'm not used to it, and yeah, there's ice everywhere. So I was like, dude, you could totally slip and fall here. I knew it. I was ready for it. I said that to my brain, dude, this can happen. So then, I was like, you've been doing martial arts for a long time. You know how to do a break fall, so get ready. You're probably going to need to be able to do it. I was like, okay, yeah. So I was walking the dog, and sure enough, I fell, completely caught me off guard. I knew that I could fall, and I almost wanted to fall so that I could test myself and let the break fall just naturally come out. I expected that. Yes, I am not a judo specialist, but I have done martial arts for a while by this point. So I had done enough break falls, enough all that stuff. So I figure, it's going to come out. I'll be fine. I'm no stranger to this kind of stuff. It didn't come out. It didn't. So that's when I realized something's not right here. And now you could say, well, Wmpyr, that's just because you haven't done it enough. Your muscle memory, your skill level is just too low. That's why the break fall didn't come out. And yeah, you could say that. But you know what? I believe that you don't have to be like a 5th-degree black belt or whatever for a break fall to come out, or for any technique to come out. The average person is learning self-defense to be able to protect themselves. And I'm not saying they're going to be 100% successful, but I'm saying at least a certain portion of it needs to be able to come out. If not, what's good? What is the good of it? So, but if the answer is you need to be awesome, you need to have been training for 20 years for it to come out, then I think that's the wrong style. There's something not right about that, So that was a very key point for me. And that's when I realized, okay, what did I do wrong at that situation? And I said to myself, what I did wrong was I relied on muscle memory. So muscle memory in a real life situation, and I'm caught off guard, it might come out or it might not come out. So that's a 50-50 chance of whether it does or whether it doesn't. That's gambling. And I've said to you guys before, with my martial arts philosophy, I don't want to gamble. I want to minimize gambling as much as possible. I want it to be strategic, not left on luck. So in order for that to happen, I needed to have been walking ready to fall at any given moment. So I should have been walking like that. That, if I was walking like that, is different from walking the way that I did, which was, yeah, I'll be fine because, it's in muscle memory and a break fall will come out, so that's how I walked. I knew about it. I wasn't ignorant about it, but my body ignored it. I wasn't ready for the fall. So when I did fall, I was caught off guard. So what I needed to have done, like I said, is to be ready for it the whole walk. I should have done that, okay? So that was the only way to make sure that it's going to come out 100%. Maybe it's not 100%, but to be certain that I am ready for it. And so that was a huge discovery. And by the time I went to San Antonio and I opened my own martial arts school, my first dojo, my first commercial school that I opened at the time, I was testing it out, and I was trying to figure out this gap. How can I conquer this gap? And what I figured out was, to me, 100% the backbone to the Wmpyr system. And this to me is the most important part, was that when I go out in public at any given point, this awareness system is permanently on. So I am ready for a surprise attack the whole time. Okay. Now the thing is, right, if you're walking around, against the wall like this, like Mission Impossible or something, and you're constantly moving around like this, you can't do that in public. You're going to look like a crazy person, right? And if some kid just suddenly, darts in front of me, and my response, is something like this, then yeah, I'm that's insane, right? So obviously you cannot do that. So what I did was to tone it down, so the awareness is still there. It's still the same, same as if I'm doing this, but the physical motion is just with my fingertips, like I'm playing a video game. Okay, so if a kid darts off, I might go like this. Okay, so this is the same as this. Okay, so if I go like this, then this is this. So I'm using my fingers, and that way no one is alarmed, no one notices what I'm doing, and I haven't had any trouble, all these years I've been doing it, and I've been fine. I'm getting constant practice. It's going into muscle memory. It's always on, this alert system. It's like I have my alarm system always on, and the motions are small, and it's really become no big deal. So I'm just going here, do like this, boom, right here. Okay, excuse me, pardon me. These are all small, very subtle movements I'm doing, but it's ingrained with the self-defense techniques, whether it's this, where it's one of these, boom, like this. I'm right here is 1, 2. I'm doing all of it in public with strangers, so I'm getting all kinds of different energies, and I'm constantly getting repetitions, and I'm also, it's not just practice, I'm actually ready, So to me, this was huge. I call this the red alert system, and real world everyday training, red alert system. And to me, this was a game changer, 100%. This was really huge for me. And I believe this is the most important part of the Wmpyr fighting system. Okay, and I try to explain and as much as possible help you guys understand this, and for you guys to mix it to whatever it is that you do, or to learn some of it and add it to your self-defense system. So anyway, that's it for now. Thank you for watching, and take care, folks.